joining today. I know today is Saturday, but be a day that we rest. It's also very important. So it's something that we say that I'm happy to share with you that those who just finished my class with I think in April, two people
Excuse me.
gotten
I'm
an
sure that
offer.
it's my line only, but I can hear you very clearly.
Ruth, you
Yes.
can do yourself.
What's that?
Yeah, I can hear you. We can hear you. Ruth. So check your audio. We can hear you. So I'm putting you on this. Okay. So I was saying that two of my students, we finished the class in April, mid-April, and two people have gotten an offer. It's very refreshing. And the good news is that all the two people this weekend, the offer that they had is
Good morning,
very,
Mr. Alex.
yes, sir.
Yeah, I can hear you properly.
Audio. Is everybody having challenge hearing me?
I have a problem hearing you.
Yeah,
Yeah, it comes but not very clear sometimes.
Let me see. Is it better now?
Yes.
Is it better now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Can you hear now?
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yes, we
That's
can.
lovely. I think I have some small picture down there. I think that is where it was routing to. Sorry about that.
Okay.
So I was talking about have two people who finished the class last time and they've had an offer already. Just this week. Two people got an offer. And all the two people six figures straight. So very refreshing and encouraging to hear that. And these people were serious after the class, they followed their resume and right away started applying. So after applying, they got to the offer.
I still have problems, guys. I can hear clearly.
Yeah, I can hear you, Mr. Alex.
Yeah, even
can
me,
hear you either.
I cannot hear you clearly. I don't understand why.
Okay, just a second. Hold on. Hold on. Let me
Recording. Good. So I was saying that I had two of my students getting an offer this week. We just finished the class in April, and the two of them have already gotten the offer. So it is refreshing, and all the offers are six figures, right? And in actual fact, the two of them are expecting multiple offers. So the first one has come in, and they are expecting like maybe next week other people are going to. They are just at the final end to get the offer. Yeah, Zulu, your hand is up.
Yeah, I just want to know what is their position.
It's information security analyst.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, information security analyst. Good. So let's start with what we did last week. The assignment. Did anybody get any challenge? So far, almost everybody that submitted did very well. I saw one coming this morning. A lady, and she did almost everything. So wow. Right. I was just expecting you to do only for CP, but the person did everything. So yes. So yes, I've seen it. Yeah, the person did everything, and that was a lot. So I was expecting you to do only CP. So just a question. I mean, any challenge from the assignment, right? So you were given. Can you see my screen? I'm sharing the one of
Yes.
your use work, right? In actual fact, this is what I was expecting. And those of you who did it, I gave you a feedback. So all that I wanted you to do is to click on this link. I'm going to do that. I'll click on the link and I'll share that one as well because it's going to open with a different tab. Okay. So when you click on the first link, you get that is the 800-60 Rev 2, volume 2 Rev 1, right? This is the information type, the publication that talk about information. It's a guide for mapping types of information and information systems to security categories. And we were given these were the information types that were given. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, right? So all that I was expecting you to do is look for, first one is corrective action plan. You can copy that, copy it, right? Let me make this one a little bit bigger, right? Then you can do Control F, that will give you a search button. Then Control V will paste it. Then you search for it, corrective action. That is the first information type. Right, you click on that, you come here, you see where it is information type. You look at the security category, confidentiality law, integrity law, availability law. You just go back to your spreadsheet, right? You put in low, low, and low. And the same thing for all the information types, right? Contingency plan information type is here. Just copy it. You do it for everything. I'm not going to do everything for the sake of time. This is just a quick refresh. So you put in the contingency plan, then it takes you there. You search for it. You see contingency plan is moderate, moderate, and moderate. So you come to your table, you put in moderate, moderate, and moderate. That's it. So you do it for all the information types, right? And somebody was asking me, he can't find the system ILG on the document. No, it's just a name given to the system. It's not like something that is published. It's just a name. Every system has a name. So that is why I named this one that we're working as a system or an information application that will process these information types. So it's just a name. There's no way you can see any system ILG, right? So you put in the information types. In fact, information types are here. You fill in all the security categories. At the end of it, you look for the impact, the watermark for impact, watermark for confidentiality, watermark for integrity, and watermark for availability. So when you get all that, so everything is the highest watermark. You look for, the highest watermark among this is moderate. That's it. Then I was expecting you to use move forward and select controls for only contingency planning, CP controls. So what I was expecting you to do was also to click on this link, right? It will take you directly to the publication. My click is not working out. It comes to leaders. Okay, yep. So when you click on the link, it takes you to the control baseline publication, right? And you just scroll down and look for contingency planning. That is all that you're going to work on. But I think some of you went the extra mile and did everything, right? So you just look for contingency planning among the control families here, or the CP contingency planning. So when you click on that, it takes you straight to contingency planning. That is the CP. And when we did the categorization, we had mod. Right, that is moderate. So all that you're going to do is that you select the check marks, the ones that are marked under the moderate. So you see the check here, then the corresponding control number and the corresponding control name. So there's one here, control number, control name. This is selected, control number, and the control name. There's nothing selected here. You jump. You go to the next one. It's selected. Control number, control name. That is all. Control check, control number, and control name. So when you do those selection, you end up getting something like this. But I don't know. I think some of you, I'm sure because there was a break somewhere, some of us did up to 8. Yes, 8-1. Right? But it continues down here. So some people missed a couple of these controls, and I drew the attention to that. Right? So always when you are selecting, scroll it down. Don't end at the page that you feel like you see that it is ended. Scroll down to see whether there are no more pages. Okay, so at the end of it, these are the controls that I was expecting you to have. Any questions? Those of you who couldn't submit, I'm sure maybe work or other commitment, or maybe if you were still confused, does this explain it well to you? Has it given you the picture? Because you're going to build on this. Should I assume that everybody is okay? Can I move on?
Good.
Come
Yes.
again?
I said move on.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Good. Good. So that is the control selection. So today we are going to continue. We are going to the phase 3 of the risk management framework, phase 3. And that is control implementation, right? The first one is categorization. And always remember, categorization has 6 deliverables, right? FIPS 199, that is the categorization itself. Initial risk assessment, PTA, that is the privacy threshold analysis. And if PTA is positive, go ahead and do PIA, privacy impact assessment. Then you do SON, system of record notice. Then authentication, if the system can be accessed remotely. So that is for categorization phase. Then the control selection phase, we have 2 deliverables, right? The first one is the control baseline selection. Then the tailored control baseline selection, or the final control baseline selection. So those are the 2. So far we've covered like 8 deliverables. So today we're going to continue to control implementation. Good. So implementation is the 3rd step, or the 3rd phase. So control implementation. So after developing your final system security control baseline, that is the 2nd deliverable under the control control selection, that is called system security control baseline, or final system security control baseline. The next step is to is the implementation phase. You need to implement the selected recommended NIST controls, right? You're going to implement. So we're going to learn how it is done. So recommended controls are implemented according to NIST control objectives or requirement. the following artifacts or deliverables are developed at this phase. First one is called System Security Plan. And it is the most important document. We'll take a look at a sample. We have Configuration Management Plan. Then we have Contingency Plan and Contingency Plan Test. So these are the 4 main deliverables that are generated at the implementation phase, right? So always remember, for the sake of interview or for you to be able to go through, remember the deliverables, okay? So here we have 4 main deliverables: SSP, CMP, CP, and CP test. These are the 4 main deliverables. We'll go through them. So SSP describes the controls that are in use or plan to be used to protect all aspects of the system. SSP only contain compliance description. At this stage, no testing is conducted. It's very, very important to evaluate the effectiveness of the control. So SSP, I'll explain that to you. I will take a look at that example, right? It contains only, SSP only contains control compliance description. At this stage, no testing. So always remember it contains control compliance description, and no testing is done at this stage, right? To evaluate the effectiveness of the controls. And it's mostly completed through interviews. When you take an SSP, it is mostly completed through interviews. So the following terms are used to describe the status of each recommended security control in the SSP, right? So I gave you a zip folder. Let's open a sample SSP, and I'll use it to explain into details. Let me open that implementation. SSP. Okay. So I'll share my screen. It's opening. It's a Word document. There are 2 SSPs in there. There's one that is sample SSP and one is other sample. So I want to open the other one. The other one has lots of information. Yes, and it is by the Federal Environment, FEDRUM. They developed that SSP. Sorry, I'm having problem with my Word. Giving me challenges. Just a second. Since it's okay. Oh. Sorry, it's closed. Thought I opened it this morning. This morning I was having some challenges with my PC. I had them all open, but I had to restart. So when I restarted, I forgot to open that one again. So let me bring that one up here for us to go through how an SSP looks like. Let me share my screen. Okay, so this is a FedRAMP, System Security Plan template, so SSP template. And all these, like I said, is template based. You're not the one going to write everything from the scratch. This is a template. Every federal environment have their own templates, right? So probably you, the analyst, what you'll be doing is to fill in wherever you see the brackets. Maybe you put, if it's a vendor that is doing, you put a vendor name or the system name, the type, the version, right? So almost all this every information here will be provided to you by the system owner. But let's move to where the SSP, the explanation of the SSP, right? And let me go back a little bit. All right, let me share my screen again. Good. The SSP, it says it describes the security controls that are in use or planned to be used to protect all aspects of the system. So SSP has the description of the system. Let me go back. It's a huge document, right? Most of the time, SSP is worked on by the system owner. But I've worked on SSP before. I have some of my students working on SSP before, so it's better we learn it. We don't say that it's because system owner does it. We're not going to learn about it. So good. So it has some basic information. This is how the documents look like. About the document, who should use this document. It gives some basic description about the system, right? The system plan, some basic information about information system name, right? You can see that it's template based.
Your screen is not being shared. We still see the
Yeah.
SSFP.
You're seeing the PowerPoint.
There we go.
Okay.
Sorry. I thought I clicked on for it to show. I'm sorry about that. So I was just walking you through the document, right? This is an SSP document that is in the folder, right? And I was saying that it is all template based. You don't need to write anything, right? NIST and other professionals have done all the work for you. So for instance, if you are working on this system, right, and you need to put in the name, all those in the brackets, right, you just have to replace with the name and the titles that the system owner will be giving to you. So here you can see that there's a name, information system name. So you can just do replace, then you put a name of all the systems in here. You are not going to write anything. Then this is the first part of the system. It says it describes the security control, or it describes the system. So you can see the categorization. If we are using this SSP for what we have done on assignment, we'll just check the mark that the categorization came out to be what? Moderate, right? So this is an example of SSP, the information type that the system processes. It gives some literature about that. The security objectives categorization. So when we did the categorization, the confidentiality, what did we get? For the assignment, we had what? Moderate. Integrity was moderate. Availability was moderate. So it's just a template that after you just fill out all the information, what was the e-authentication? So this gives you a background about the system, some information about the system. And like I said, all is template based. You are not going to write it from the scratch. So that is the first part. Then when you go down, where it is of more interest, right? This side are more like templates. You just have to fill in the information. So where it is of more interest is where I want us to go. So when you go down, good. So this is the SSP, right? So here it has the control name and the control ID. And this is where let me go back. SSP I hope I'm sharing my slide. It's a SSP only contain control compliance description. At this stage, no testing is conducted to evaluate the effectiveness of the control, right? SSP is mostly completed through an interview. Good. So let me go back to the document here again. So this is the control compliance description, right? That SSP must have. The organization develops, disseminates, interviews, Then they assign whatever name that they have to put over there, a formal documented access control policy, blah, blah, blah. That lays the scope and other. We'll learn about how to even select this today, right? But I just want to explain through the SSP. So here, when you do the interview, right, probably you talk to system owner, they say, okay, access control, Mr. A is in charge of all access control, right? Most at times, even though the literature says that we interview people, but most times the questionnaire is so many that you don't even have the time to interview them. So you even send the questionnaire, the whole of this SSP to them. So whoever is in charge of access control will look through this compliance description. Then they are going to say that, oh, okay, I mean, the person's name will be there. Then they will say that, okay, based on what compliance control is requesting, yes, this is implemented. They will either check implemented, partially implemented, plan to be implemented, there's an alternative or not applicable, right? They'll have to select that. So you are not going to respond to this questionnaire. You are more like facilitating it. Who is the right person to send this document to, especially like if it has to do with access control. It's a huge document. If you go to, let's say, the contingency plan that we did for the assignment, who is in charge of contingency plan, right? So you can send the email, the message to the person, let's say, Vincent is in charge of contingency plan. Vincent, can you take a look at pages, what is contingency plan, access control? This is a huge document. Let me do a quick search, Control F. Okay, contingency plan. Okay, good. It took me there straight. Very good. So you send it to Vincent, can you respond to the questions from pages 151 to maybe 170? That is if all the places that contingency plan covers, right? Then maybe another part talks about PII, right? Michael, can you take a look at question pages this and respond to it? So here, Vincent is going to go through the control description, the compliance description. Then since he is the expert in contingency plan, right, here, Vincent will be able to know that, yes, we do have a policy and procedure in place. So here, this is implemented. Remember, he's just checking the mark. There's no testing here, right? The person is just going to go through the document and say, yes, we do have it. They come to the second part. The organization develops contingency plan for the information system that identifies, blah, blah, blah. You go through the third, everything, all of them, then check the mark based on the requirements. And, okay, we have this in place, but here we don't have it in place. Or we have it, but we are yet to plan, we plan to do it, or there's a, we partially have it in place. That is how contingency plan, the SSP works. So your work is to identify who is the subject matter expert in this particular area. Then you work with a person to respond to those questions. Just guide them through the document. Can you respond to page so and so, and they will be able to do it. And most at times, the system owner and the ISSO does this. And like I said, I have worked on SSP before. I have some of my students working on SSP, so you may never know who the system owner is that you're going to work with. They can ask you to work on an SSP. So this is an example of system security plan. Good. Let's continue. So SSP contains two major sections. The system section, so we talked about that, which talks about the description. The first part, it talks about the categorization that I showed, the authentication, some system diagrams. Then the second part is the control description that I was just showing, right? That I was using Vincent as an example for owner for the CP, right? So we just took a look at the SSP. Any questions on the SSP before we move on? One beauty thing about federal environment is all of them is template based. It's template. All that you have to do is make sure that you're working with the right people. Then sometimes the only thing that you'll be doing is just replacing the parentheses or the bracket with the name, the dates, system owners, and that's it. Then working with the people, the right people to get the right information to fill in those templates. Any questions before we move on? Vincent, you have a question?
Yeah, I was to ask how you will know the right information to select in SSP.
In terms like you responding to the questions.
Yeah, you are saying that the SSP, you need to discover the information given to you and select from the templates, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying, how do you know the right one to select? Because it's like
the right one, like this one. You mean that whether it's implemented or not implemented? Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the person who owns the system, whoever is in charge of contingency plan for the organization, definitely knows that there is a policy, right? That person is in charge.
Mm-hmm.
So that person knows that, I mean, there has to be a policy. That person knows that there has to be a contingency plan. That is their work. They are the experts in that area. Whoever is in charge of access and identity, right? Identity and authentication, the person is in charge of that. Within the organization, every role, like your role is a security analyst, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what you are doing as an expert in security, as an expert in security. When it comes to contingency planning and maybe data backups and business continuity, they are also experts in their area. So they definitely know that the company must have a contingency plan policy. There need to be a plan itself, right? So they are going to go through and to tell that, yes, this one is implemented. We have it. We have a policy for the organization. We have a plan that will follow if there is a contingency or there is an emergency.
Yeah,
So that is why they are subject matter experts in that area.
You were saying that you, as the expert, has to let them know that this one, like the responsible role, it's implemented or partially implemented or planned. How do you choose from this? With what information?
I don't know whether you're getting me, right? So let's say I own, Fenton, I'll let you talk. Just give me a second. Let's say I own identity and access management within the organization, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So when you get a job, okay, let's take it. When you get a job, maybe your current job, when you went there, somebody issued you your access badge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very good. So that person is in charge of access and identity within the organization. So that person will, every organization, there's a policy and procedure. There's a process document they follow to do their work. So as you come, like we are doing this for the SSP for the system, the person will be able to tell you that, yes, there is a process in place. There is a policy that I follow to do my work. So therefore, it is implemented.
Okay.
Right? Maybe the term implementation that is getting you confused, but like it's a term that they use that maybe probably in a short form, you can say that, yes, it is, we do it. We do this, something like that. But we, the analysts, we haven't do the testing yet. We'll do the testing later. But here we just get some information that, do you have a policy in place? Do you have a plan in place? Do you follow A, B, C, D? They say, yes, we do it. Yes, we do it. No, we don't do it. We think we do it, but it's not up to date. That is how it is.
Okay.
I don't know whether I'm clearer here.
All right, yeah.
Oh, are you sure you're getting it? Make sure you get it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anyway, if you don't get it, we can still talk more. Fenton, your hand is up. Hello? If you are talking, we can hear you. Or is the magic hand that is raising again?
Are you talking
Hello,
to me?
Fenton? Yeah, your hand is up. I thought you. No, I'm talking to Fenton, not Vincent.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I think maybe it's by mistake. Okay, so let's go on. So that is what the SSP it is. Like I said, mostly done by the system owner, but they may ask you to.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, okay, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Yes,
Good.
yes, sorry. Basically, I was just going to say, for example, where I used to work, we used to go when it involves, for example, contingency planning. I used to call the SSO to go through his whatever plans he had for contingency planning.
Yeah.
When it came to something else, there was somebody else I had to go to show me or tell me, hey, yes, we have this policy. Then I go in there and fill it out. I was just going to say there are people there, like you said, who are definitely in different areas. Some of them are in security, some of them are in network controls and stuff. So I'll ask them, implementation of this, is it there? They say, oh yeah, look at so-and-so page, so-and-so says this. Then I put a check mark. That's what I was going to say.
Exactly. That is it. So you as a security analyst, you're not doing everything, right? You have your role and other people are subject matter experts in specific areas. So you work with them. Thank you, Fenton, for sharing your experience with us. Good. So let's continue.
I have a
The
question.
next one. Yes, please go ahead.
So what roles basically would be maybe expecting you to know how to complete the SSP? Is it an assessor or security analyst, or what kind of roles work with this directly?
So for the roles, like system owner will give you, right? So let's say you've been employed to work with IntelliLogic, and we are working on the SSP, and I'm the system owner, right? System owner, like the name sound, if you remember from the beginning, right? Oh, okay, Ruth, you were not there. The system owner is the person in charge of what? The people that manages the system, the technologies, and the what? And the processes. So I know everything about the system, right? So I'll be able to direct you that, hey, Ruth, work with Bernard. Bernard is in charge of user provisioning and deprovisioning. Work with Julian. Julian is in charge of configuration management. Work with Vincent. Vincent is in charge of contingency planning. So system owner will give you that information. And you'll be, and you have their contact, right? Like Fenton said, you call them and they will be able to provide, they know their work, they know what they are doing. So they will be able to provide you with appropriate information to fill out a form. So yours is not like going to do some research, looking for some things and burying your head. No. It's more like coordination, talking to the right people, getting the information and filling out the form. Or sometimes you give it to them, they fill it and they bring it to you. Very, very straightforward.
So in that case, would you be the security and system security analyst or an assessor? What are you?
You are the security analyst.
Okay.
So here is just a first phase. You are just collecting information. You are not analyzing anything. We'll come to the next stage. We'll come there later on. And I'll show you what we do. Yes, Vincent, your hand is up again.
Yeah, so I'm trying to say your work as you said here, means that you are like assessing the information given to you to know if they give you the right information or not.
We will come there.
Okay.
We'll get to that level. So at this level, you can just say like information gathering, right? At this level, you can just call it information gathering.
Okay.
So we'll come to another. So we have a assignment on that.
Okay.
How we're going to assess those information that we gather from them, right?
Okay.
So that's why we said SSP at that stage, no testing has been done.
Okay.
Right. So we'll come to test plan and others, how we to test all those that they provided us. So it's a stage by stage. Okay, so let's continue. I think we spent much time on this one. So next one is configuration management plan. We call it CMP. So configuration management plan includes personnel, responsibilities, resources, training requirement, administrative meeting guidance, right? Guidelines. The CMP also includes the following: configuration identification, consisting of setting and maintaining baselines, which define the system or subsystem architecture and components before deployment. So let me just say this: contingency planning, configuration management is also handled by different set of team who are experts, right? These are the system engineers or system architects. They would develop the system configuration and come out with architectural diagrams and all other things. So we are not directly into that. That side is more technical and we are not involved in that, right? All that we do is that we work with them and collect those documents. And that is what we use to fill the SSP, right? So we are not involved in this configuration management. So don't get confused over here. So it also includes change control. We will talk more on change control when we get to ITGC, right? Change control consists of configuration that are controlled, how changes are requested, approved, and implemented. So within an organization, right, whenever a system has to be updated or a system has to be patched, the system owners or like maybe system administrators, right? They are the right people. System administrators don't just get up and say, oh, there's this new patch released for Windows, so I'm going to apply it. No, we don't do it that in a well-organized organization environment. It has to go through what we call change control processes, right? First, the person has to put in a request for change that, hey, there's this new bug. We have identified the system, the application or the software provider has released a patch. So we need to apply the patch. And I think the last time I explained the difference between a patch and an update. Can somebody help explain that? What is the difference between a patch and an update? Because I'll keep repeating this all the time. Fenton?
Yes. The update pretty much updates the application itself. A patch, what it does is it patches the vulnerabilities. And that is why before a patch is applied, it usually goes through a test process from the network administrators, engineers, which is the area I used to work. We have a separate system. When Microsoft sends out a patch, a typical example was they sent out a bad patch. I was on vacation and the administrators did not send it to the test server.
Test environment.
Yes, they just updated the system and Office 365 crashed for the entire enterprise. So 3 heads were rolled. They fired them immediately because they did not go through the server that does the testing. They just updated it because they trusted Microsoft. And of course, Microsoft has the little thing that they put there and say, this is a patch, we're not responsible for what happens, which means you have to test it.
Yeah.
And so they just rushed and it crashed the entire enterprise everywhere.
Yeah.
So the patch management system requires you to test the patch on test machines, and then after it's tested, they approve it. Everybody gets involved. Like you said, the CCB, the control board, they have a meeting. They talk about that testing, what the patch does. Then they roll it out.
Exactly.
But they didn't go. They avoided all that. They avoided the change control board and all this stuff, and then they just went ahead and rolled the patch, and that what. So the patch, yeah, is different from the update. The update,
Yes.
I'll give an example like Adobe. Adobe has updates. Pretty much they take it from 9.0 to 9.1.
9.1.
Updates all the functions in there.
Good.
So
Good.
a patch would block certain vulnerabilities from coming in. Doesn't necessarily have to update the entire software. That's all I wanted to say.
Good. That is an extensive explanation, and you covered some of the areas that I was going to talk about, right? So a patch is basically fixing a vulnerability or a weakness within a system. And an update is moving from one version to another. So like Fenton said, maybe Adobe 9.0 to 9.1, or Microsoft 11 to 10 to Microsoft 11. That is an upgrade. So it's always important to know this because it will be coming, right? And I was talking about, I think Fenton talking about that. Let me break it down. Let me give the steps. So whatever update or a patch that you need to apply to a system, it has to go through a change control board, right? So the change control board, the system administrator will put in a request to the change control board that I want to apply this patch to this software, right? The patch has been released. The patch is to fix a bug, fix a vulnerability. So the change control board will sit, maybe they sit every Tuesday, every Wednesday. They will sit and analyze the request, right? And if it is approved, they will ask you to put in a notification to the users of the system. So those of us who are working in a corporate environment, sometimes you receive an email and they tell you that maintenance, the system will be offline within so and so hours, 11 p.m. to about 5 a.m., right? So just to give you that notification that at that point in time, when you want to use, if you want to use the application, it's not going to be available, right? And there, where we are using the application is called production environment, right? When you are using the application for your day-to-day work, it's a production environment. But if they want to apply the patch, they move the application from production environment to a test environment. That is where some heads were rolled in Fenton's job place. Instead of moving it from the production environment to a test environment, they apply the patch directly to the production environment. And that can cause a lot of havoc. So you move the application from the production environment to a test environment, right? So the test environment, they apply the patch, they test it, they evaluate it. Everybody sign, people who are involved in it, everybody sign, yes, we agree, everything worked correctly. There's nothing to affect the production. Then they roll it back to the production. And even as they roll it back to the production, there need to be what you call rollback, such that if something happened, they should be able to roll it back to the original position where it was before. So that is, it all happens through the change control processes. And we have configuration status account, but we'll talk more about the change control in the ITGC. So this is just a high level of it. Then the configuration status accounting include process for recording and reporting configuration items, hardware, software, firmware, and how changes are tracked, right? So here, like I said, configuration management is handled by a different team, right? But all that you do is that you need to get a documentation on configuration management as a deliverable from that particular team. Bill.
Yes, sir. I just want to ask, who are the testers? And can the testers also be referred to as QAs?
I see where you're coming from. So where we have the QAs, right? That is a software development life cycle. So software development life cycle, that is where, if you remember, we talked about defense in breadth, right? At each stage of the development, they have to consider security. That is software development cycle. So the person who developed the code shouldn't be the same person who tests the code, right? That is where the QAs come in here, right? But when it comes to change control, it is the same system administrators that do the testing. But they themselves, like, they are not the people to sign off that, oh, I've done the test, everything works. No. The person has to get authorization from some people, maybe the system owner, other people involved. Because whether there's a check mark, they have to follow all that check mark to see that everything has gone through. Then other people will sign off that yes, we have gone through, they have gone through, everything is okay. But here there is no a QA here, right? The QA, let me say there's QA, but it's not like the QA that is auditing the code for a tester, for a developer. They are two different things, right?
Okay.
Is it okay?
Yeah, I get you. Secondly, please.
Good. Yeah.
When you said people sign off and there's a rollback, and can those two words, rollback, be also referred to as backup in case anything happens? That's what you meant by there's a plan for rollback. Does that refer to like a backup plan in case like it did not go well, so for it to crash, people get fired, then there's a backup plan? Is that what you meant by rollback?
Yes. So it can be a subset of a backup, right? It can be a subset of, so depending on how you are saying, most of the time when we talk about backup, we're talking about replicating the services that we do or the data that we are generating, right? So that if something happened to the main data, we can go back to the one that we have stored somewhere, right? But the rollback here that we're talking about is that the system should be in such a way that when we apply the patch or the update and something happened, it's not working as expected, right? We should be able to go back to the former version. Let's say we just applied version 9. Let's say we apply version 9.1. And we notice that no, it's not working very well. But there should be a rollback plan that should be able to take us back to 9.0, where people were using without any problem. That is what a rollback is about. Okay.
Thank you.
So configuration management is handled by different team of experts, and they will give you the document. Then configuration verification audit. As part of the configuration management, the organization or the federal government should involve other people, right? Where we have the United States configuration baseline, federal desktop core configuration. So you need to involve other people that they can scan your environment just to help you make sure that you have done the right thing, right? There's also another team, Paul was, let me go through, using tools. Yeah, we have another scanning tools, right? After you follow this configuration audit, there's government people that they can audit you to check whether you've done everything all right. Then you also have configuration scanning tools, right? That scanning tools just scan your network to see whether everything has been well configured, right? If it is not well done, it will tell you the weakness. Maybe there's a hole when you did the configuration, you didn't close one gap, or maybe you didn't close, there was a port opening, right? Network communicate through ports, right? Maybe a port is open that a hacker can use, take advantage. Those hackers, right? When they scan your network, they're able to see your weaknesses and your holes. So if you haven't closed that hole, that scanning that you have done will help you to be able to close those gaps. Then at the end of the scanning, we have what we call remedy change management software, right? Basically, it just helps you to track all the changes that are done within your system during the configuration management. So you, as an analyst, your main work here is that you are not going to go into these all details, right? So you may, I remember when I was in Austin, every month we request for scanning of our applications that I was managing. I was managing 8 applications, right? Every month I need to put in a request for them to scan my applications, give me the results. If I see any findings, I work with those who owns those findings to fix them. Fenton.
Yeah, I was just going to say, where I used to work, we always had a problem with the analyst who go back and forth and fight. I was in the network group. So we used to use Nessus, Tenable Nessus. And in Nessus, you set the scope and everything. I was more involved in setting up the scope and everything. And then those security analysts would say, hey, we just want to know what we need to put in our documents. And we used to go back and forth. And then we shared Nessus with them. Yeah. And we'll put the scope and everything. And then they will go in there and then come up with details of what they wanted in their documents. And from the network group that I was in, we'll say, you guys, all you do is make check marks, blah, blah, blah. We cannot do it. And then they will go above us and go to the system owners and say, hey, we asked the network group to give us the scope, and they're arguing about this and that. And then we'll come back and say, hey, if you understood network technology, you will not be asking us for the blah, blah, blah. But the point is that Nessus would also give high, medium, and low scores. And then from our perspective, we will then do the scanning. But when we do the scanning, the security guys would always put pressure on us and say, hey, we are not satisfied with the scanning that you did. So the two groups were always at loggerheads.
That's right.
Always, in every environment I've worked, they're always at loggerheads. But we all come together when we know that the government was going to come in and do their tests. Yes, their audits, exactly. And at that point, security and network group will come together. We agree to disagree. We agree that, you know what, wireless network should not be turned on at this point, blah, blah, blah. And we learned a lot from the security group. And that's the reason why I need to know more with the security group, what they really, really know to help me so we can all work together. Because I was in the network group, and there's
Yeah.
always a fight between the two groups. But
Yeah.
Nessus, Tenable Nessus would give you high, medium, low on every application.
Great.
And then
Great.
you had the software group that would
Mhm.
never accept, the developers, they would never accept that their software had holes.
Yes.
And then you had the penetration group that will come in and say, guess what, your database suck. It doesn't have, all the holes have not been patched. Then they come back to the network group. Then we make friends with the security group. It was round and round and round until,
Yeah.
you know,
Wow.
I just wanted to add that.
That's I mean, it's a nice experience, and that is what is working. I mean, that is what is happening, right? So at the end of it, the key thing is we all come together to work to for the good of the application, because everybody may have their opinion, but at the end of it, the outcome of all that argument, the decision is made by the system owner, because the system owner knows the system and accept various type of risk. That is an in-depth experience. So for this work, right, all that we need at this point in time for this one, we work with the configuration management team. They give us that document, and we add it to our deliverables. Good. So a sample, there's a sample in the document, so you can check it. We don't develop that, but they will develop that for us. This is another side, contingency plan. That is the third deliverables and the implementation, right? A contingency plan is a process that prepares an organization to respond coherently to an unplanned event. The contingency plan can also be used as an alternative for action if expected results fails to materialize. So it's mostly called Plan B. Contingency plan is called Plan B. But most of the time, before contingency plan is developed, right, there need to be what we call BIA, Business Impact Analysis, right? BIA has to be developed so that you'll be able to, the key objective for BIA is to be able to prioritize your applications or your systems in terms of recovery, right? So BIA, if you develop a BIA, there has to be a list that talks about critical applications, or maybe they put applications into tiers, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, right? So tier 1 will be like the main application that if something happened to our environment, we want to rescue first, right? Remember, contingency plan is what? Plan B. You are making plans to continue your providing services. So the BIA, you put them into tiers. So when you do the business impact assessment or analysis, you're able to know that, okay, this application is the main application. This system is the main one for the environment. So that would be tier 1. So if something happened within our environment, we'll go to rescue this one first. Then we go to this application, we rescue the second tier, or before we go to the third tier. That is how BIA means. You put systems and application into priority, right? You prioritize the business unit and asset. So here we have what you call recovery point objective, right? How many data do you need to continue business? That is one of the things that BIA looks at, right? How many data do we need to continue our business, right? Recovery time objectives. How long can we stay offline? So if you take the tier 1, how many data do we need to continue managing that system for it to continue to go? To do business for us? How many time can we afford to be offline? Right, like I was saying, Amazon, when you take the CIs, confidentiality, integrity, and availability, which of them do you think it to be more critical for Amazon? Confidentiality, integrity, and availability. When you talk about Amazon Web Service, which one do you think it to be more critical to Amazon. Can somebody try?
Availability.
Availability is true. I agree with that because Amazon cannot afford to go offline for 5 minutes. Whenever if they go offline 5 minutes, they're going to lose huge sums of money, and every company is going to shout, "Hey, what is happening, Amazon? What is happening?" Right? So availability is one of the key things. So recovery time objectives, Amazon will prioritize that one as a huge priority for them. So that is what BIA does. So contingency plan documents, it has initiation phase, activation phase, recovery phase, reconstruction phase, and some appendixes, right? So if you take a look at the document, I gave you a sample to have a look. So contingency plan covers terms like we will be doing data backup before the end of the class into details. So it covers backup type. Is it incremental, differential, or full backup? We'll do it. It's one of my slides that we're going to talk about. What type of backup site do they have? Is it cold, warm, hot? We'll cover that one as well. What type of backup site? We'll learn about backup site too. Is it a secondary site? Right? It should be located far away from your primary site. So there's this story about why they start requesting that backup sites should be far from the primary site. It has to do with the Twin Towers, right? So the Twin Towers in New York, some companies were having their primary site on one tower, then the backup on the other tower, right? So when the incident happened, the 9/11 happened, they lost everything. They couldn't retrieve anything. So there was this, I heard there was a law that was, I think I learned it during my master's, that every backup site should be about 250 miles away from the primary backup site, right? Some companies started implementing that, but it was really giving them problems, right? So later on, they said, okay, just make sure that your backup site is not just across the road from your primary site, right? So that, I mean, if something happened to your primary site, you can use your secondary site to
back up.
To back up or to restore your operations, right? Good. So that's a story about the backup site. So we'll learn about backup site, backup type, and the backup site. We'll learn about all of them: cold, warm, and hot, as part of our class. So there are some companies that provide these backup services. We call one is Iron Mountain and other ones. So you can check your documents for a sample of a CP document in that one as well. Contingency plan test, right? And the contingency plan, you may also not be involved in developing it, like a subject matter expert. Those who are in charge of contingency will develop that one for you. Yours is to get that document and add it to your deliverables. But contingency plan test, you may be involved, right? Contingency plan test needs to be tested at least annual or whenever there is a major change for effectiveness, right? CP is a living document and need to be updated accordingly, right? I've met this question a couple of times in my certifications, right? That it should be a living document. A living document means that it is always being how do you call it? Reviewed, right? You don't do one and put it on the shelf for it to gather dust. No, it has to be a living document. It has to be changed all the time, make revisions, change people, update people's contact. It has to be a living document. So types of CP tests, we have a tabletop, we call it classroom exercise, walk through the procedure without any actual recovery operation occurring. Classroom exercises are the most basic and at least and least costly of the two types of exercises and should be conducted before performing a functional exercise. So the tabletop is like you are walking through, like, okay, as we are here, then the power goes off. What are we going to do? Then somebody will say, oh, the generator should be able to kick in. Then so what about if the generator fails? What should we do? It's just like walk through, right? To be able to just create a scenario, sorry, a scenario when something happened, how are you going to resolve it, right? So here, you, the analyst, they can involve you, right? Yours is to sit in the meeting, right? And any decision that they come out that, okay, we noticed that based on our contingency plan document, we said that if the power goes off, right, the generator should kick in. But there's no statement that says that if the generator does not kick in, somebody has to switch on the generator, something like that. So let's put a note there that if the generator does not kick in, somebody will do what? Will switch on the generator, manual switch on. So in this case, you as an analyst, you take note of the addition they are added, or maybe a statement they have removed from the document. So that is your main role. You are acting like a secretary or something like that. If you have the expertise, you can share your expertise in the discussion. But if you don't, you listen and make changes as they make suggestions. That is your role. Then I think I saw somebody's hand briefly and it drops. Okay. Functional exercises. Functional exercises are more extensive than tabletop. It requires an event to be faked, right? So functional is you are trying to do a simulation, right? What has to be done, right? What has to be done? Sometimes people try to. I have done the my workplace. We've done it some time ago. We had to go to the office and start pulling some wires just to test whether our backup, our offsite will kick in, right? We operate a hot site. We'll learn about hot sites, right? Hot site is like everything that is running at the data center or primary site. The same thing is happening at the secondary site. So we try to pull some plugs to see whether the other site will pick it up, right? So those are the functional exercises. Good. So like I said, you will be involved in the in correcting and making updates to the system. Bill, before you come in, let me finish up with the summary. The following artifacts or deliverables are developed at this phase, right? The SSP, CMP, CP, then the CP test. Always remember, implementation phase, 4 artifacts are developed over here. The implementation and creation of relevant artifacts for this phase is normally the responsibility of the system owner. Like I said from the beginning, system owner does that. But, right, analysts might be asked to assist in the development in these artifacts, right? So all that you'll be doing is that you collect information from the system owner and the system point of contact, POC, the people who are the key or in charge of specific system. You collect the information from them, right? And incorporate them into existing templates. That is all your work. You're just contacting, working with them, you get information, then you put them in a template. You don't have to write a template from the beginning, not at all, right? You work with people, get information, then incorporate them into the template. Bill, I saw your hand up.
Yes, sir. So the functional system can also be referred to like a drill.
Yeah,
Okay,
a drill.
thank you.
It's just like your sometimes in your workplace, then they will just create some fire alarm. Then they said if there's a fire alarm, you all move to a particular point, right?
Yes, sir.
You go there, you wait, they come and talk to you, then you go back to your desk. That's a
Thank
functional.
you.
That's a drill. Thank you. Sheldon, your hand is up. Oh, was a mistake?
No. I just had a quick question. So, what exactly would your title be?
So we will look at a sample job. I think this coming Wednesday, right? We'll look at sample jobs and type of the titles for this particular job. So you can see a job with a description, certification and accreditation analyst, right? That used to be the old name, but some companies are still maintaining it. Or some companies call it risk management framework analyst. Risk management framework analyst. Or some call it information assurance analyst, right? Some can be information security specialist. So depending on the company, they will choose. But we'll look at sample jobs, right? And look at the terms that they use to call this role. I think coming Wednesday, that's what we're going to do. Every model, when we are finishing, we'll look at sample job. We'll Google it and see the jobs and look at the job descriptions. Then ask ourselves, have we covered everything? So if I see SSP here, do I know what they are looking for? If I see contingency plan here, what do I know what they are looking for? We'll take a look at that.
So just like the previous gentleman was saying, as far as it going to software, he was in networking. Are those considered security as well, or no?
So they are part of IT, information technology.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
But it's not security. That's why he was saying that he was working, having some kind of conflict with the security guy. So that is his role. They are network engineers, right?
Okay.
But they are not into security, the security aspect of networking or security aspect of information or technology. Yes, is managing the network, making sure that the network is functioning, the technology is working, and everything has been configured appropriately. But when it comes to security, ours is to check, is it secure? They have that the configuration, but is there any hole that somebody can take advantage and come to our environment? Right. So it's separate areas.
Nice. And all those templates, no matter what job you get, they will provide the templates for you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Perfect.
Every federal environment have their own templates. So you are not going to develop. Yours is follow the processes. Right. One thing I tell people is that this job is one of the easiest. Honestly, it will make you lazy. If you get a federal job and you're the type that you like doing repetitive things, you'll be okay. But if you're like some of us that we always want new challenge all the time, it will be boring for you. When I used to work in the federal job, the job that I 40 hours work, I used like 3 hours for the whole week to do my job, and the remaining hours I was using to learn and doing research. That is why I came up with all these things, right? So federal job is, RMF is laid back, not really pushing, but sometimes you do a follow-up. Do you have this? You follow up, they don't provide you the document. You notice you document them. And now there's a tool called GRC2, Governance, Risk, and Compliance. And those tools are going to do all these things that we are learning in a manual way for you easily. But if you don't understand the processes behind the document that is being generated for you, or at which point in time that you should come in, and you only know the GRC2, is useless. That is why when you go in with for interview and able to explain yourself with these processes that we are going through, you get a job so quick because they know that you understand behind whatever the tool is doing and you know when to act and what to act and what to ask, right? So that is why it is really important you follow the processes. Okay. I'm sure today we will cover the whole 3 hours. No worries, but we are learning. I know it's taking much time, but it's all good. Let us keep on learning. So now let's move on to the next one, the phase 4. The phase 4.
I was just going to ask a question.
Oh, please go ahead, Ruth.
So you reference federal jobs. So in my experience, just looking at these jobs, most of them are needing clearance, like security clearance. And it's a challenge. It almost seems like most of the companies that are offering these jobs, they are maybe consulting companies, but they already want someone who has a clearance so they can put them maybe in a federal environment. And it's just been challenging, like, how do I get the clearance? Because it's not an easy thing anyway.
You are right. But most of it too, they will do the clearance for you. My students that got job in this area, nobody was having clearance. I mean, how many people in America have clearance? Apart from maybe those who are veterans or people who have worked already with the federal government. When I joined them, I had no clearance, right? So they started the clearance for me. Just about 4 weeks ago, one of my students got a job and they are doing the clearance for them. Right. And the federal environment, the clearance is the most easiest part of it, right? Some people will say, hey, it's FBI that our guide you. Is very, very easy and very, very easy. Right. So the clearance, when you see the job, they said the person must have security clearance, don't be deterred. Apply. Right. When they interview you and they see that you have what it takes and they are looking for what they are looking for, they'll give you the job and they'll do the clearance for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I almost wanted to join the military for clearance.
No, you don't need to. You don't need to. Okay. So let's go on. Let's go on. I think we are a little bit behind time. So let's move on to the next one. But yeah, you guys are asking very important questions and it's making the class enjoyable. Yeah, Fenton, your hand is up. You have a quick one?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I was just going to say that basically, can you guys hear me?
We can hear you now. It was a break.
Yeah. Sorry, I was on the phone with somebody else. So basically, what I was trying to say was, let me call you guys back. Sorry.
Okay, that's fine. We can let you come in later on.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Sorry, I think he got another call, divided attention. So let's move on. So the next one is security control testing. Security control testing. And this particular side, the step 4, you can get a job only in that side. So when you see a job that is, so we are looking for a security control tester, information security control tester, this particular area, you can get a job from there. So we're going to learn about that. It's an interesting area. It is very simple and straightforward, but people get confused. But I try as much as possible to make it as easy as possible for everybody, right? So security control testing, some literature, you see it, security control assessment, they are all the same. Okay, don't get confused. Security control assessment. So it is the duty of security analysts. When you see CNA is the analyst, that is what we are learning, to evaluate the adequacy of the security controls implemented and give recommendations. So somebody was asking, like when we did the SSP, don't we test it? How will you know it is correct? So this is where our work comes in, right? So the following artifacts are generated at this phase by the security analyst. The first one is called test plan, right? Or security assessment plan. So when you hear test plan or security assessment plan, it's the same thing. Then the security test and evaluation report, ST&E. And the next one is security assessment report, SAR. So these are the three main artifacts that are generated at this phase. So at this phase, 3 artifacts. Always remember the artifacts. They are the main thing that you should know, especially to prepare you for your interview. 3 are the test plan, or are the test security control testing. Test plan, security test and evaluation, then the SAR, right? ST and E, then the SAR. And remember, these are the controls that we learned, right? The control families. There are 20 of them. These are the control families. I brought them here just to help you refresh your memory that we are still talking about, because it says it's security control testing. So we are going to test these controls, and these are the control families that we are testing. So the testing method follows what we have gone through before. So I'm not going to go through into details. It's examination, right? Mostly checking, inspecting, observing, studying, going through documents, making sure that the policies and other things are up to date. Those are the examination. Interviews, right? Calling people, asking them questions, or following a well-developed questionnaire to seek clarification and just make sure, to help you understand, right? So you can interview the system administrator, the developer, the CIO, depending on what specific area. Then there's also a testing, right? That is where we have this vulnerability scanning and all other things, just to make sure it gives you concrete understanding that whatever they said they are doing, it is there and they are doing it. So that is what the testing does. So the test plan specifies the following, right? Let's start with the test plan. It specifies the following, and we are going to practice it. The controls that need to be tested. What are the controls that you are going to test, right? The method of testing. What method are you going to use to test? Is it an interviewing or what is it? And even some, they call it procedure, right? The testing procedure, right? And also the evidence to validate that those controls are being done. So these are the 4 steps, and we are all going to go through it. You're going to learn that how those test plan or the test is done, right? So there are publications that we use. The NIST 800-53 Rev 5, right? We looked at that last week. Then this publication 800-53A, I will not recommend you use this because it's somehow archaic. Right, when they updated the Rev 5, they haven't done the update for the 53A. Right, even though 53A talks about testing and procedure, but 53 Rev 5 has everything. It's everything. So in even an interview, they ask you for the next publications. Which of the publications are the most important? Please tell them it's NIST 53 Rev 5. It's very, very important. Very, very important. So let's pull that publication. So I'm sharing my screen. I hope you see my screen. Right. I'm going to look for the publication list. 853 Rev 5. So this takes me to the website. Then I mostly like the local. Go to the local, and it's able to pull the publication for you. Let me make it bigger. Good. So now let's pull the assignment. Before we use the assignment, I mean, that one will be your work, but I want to pull the document that we use in practice, right? The practice that we did. I want to pull that document and let's work with it. Then the assignment, you will follow the assignment to do your own too. John, your hand is up.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
It's the 853 is it the current like revision revision that is up, or they have another revision too?
No, the Rev 5 is a current one.
All right.
Rev 4 is old.
All right, okay. Thanks.
Yeah. Good. So now let's see this side, right? We are going to do control selection. No, I think. Okay, no, let's go back to this one. Let's use this one because I have the templates down here, right? So this is the assignment that you did, okay? And we did it for CP. So now we are going to do testing for CP. And please, I'm using only CP as an example, but in the real world, you start from access control to the supply chain. You do for all the control families. So please remember, okay? So this is just for training purposes, just for you to understand what we do. But we can do it from AC1 to SR12. We will not finish. It can take the whole day, right? So we are just using this as an example, right? So we are going to develop a test plan. And we are saying that the test plan, right, it has the control name and the control ID, the procedure, right? That tells you what they need to be doing, the responses that they give you, whoever you interview or whoever you share the question with, and the person responses, that person's point of contact, and they need to provide evidence that yes, indeed, we are doing it, right? The SSP was like, oh yes, blah, 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 we do it, just implemented. Now we are testing whether they are really doing it or whether those things are there. That is what the test plan is about. So if we take what we've done, we have the control ID already. We have the control name, right? All that you do is that let's copy the first, let's say the first three, the first four, right? Just copy them, Control C, you copy them and bring it forward. Let's paste them here because the test plan requires the control ID, the control name, right? This is when you see control, it's the same as a control name. So let me add a name to it, right? Don't get confused, the same thing over there. Now let's look for the procedure. The procedure, how are we going to test it? That is where we go back to the next publication, 800-50, this publication that I've opened, right? Let's look for the contingency plan. Let me do a quick one, okay? Good, it's there already. So contingency planning, good. It takes me there to contingency planning, right? Please, I didn't do any magic for this to appear. All that I did was I did a search, Control then F. It gives you the search button. Then I put in contingency planning, just for it to search the document for me quickly instead of taking my time to scroll down. To take a lot of time, right? So just did that shortcut to help me arrive at this page. Good. So this is a contingency planning. This is the control procedure, right? That organization must have for this particular one, the CP1, policy and procedure. It says the federal company, the federal organization, if I should say, right, must develop documents and disseminate right? Assign somebody person name, they put a name there, right? By having what else? Contingency level that addresses purpose, role, responsibility, management, blah, 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 right? So this is a NIST recommendation. It's not you that you are saying that they should do, right? So all that you do is copy all these things. That is a procedure, what you want them to do. That is what a NIST is asking them to do. Don't add the discussion, right? Copy this one. Just copy, come to your document. The first one, where you have your control ID, the control name. This is the procedure. This is what they need to follow to test the system. So here, if you paste in directly in this chart, there will be an overflow, right? And then even if you do a wrap test, it may not show, right? So the easiest and the better way to do is, let me delete it. Go always use the formula button. Where you see the FX there, then you paste it there. Control Z, then hit enter, right? It's able to fit in very well. If it's not fitting, you can just pull it down here, right? So that you'll be able to see, or even make this one bigger. I know some of us are having challenges with Excel, but if you're having a challenge with Excel, you can just watch videos on basic Excel. There are lots of videos on basic Excel. This is what I'll be doing. Is all that you need is basic. You don't need to be an expert, right? Good. So let's say, who is the point of contact in contingency planning? I mentioned Vincent's name, so let me keep Vincent here. Vincent is a person. So let's say Vincent O, right, is a person. You need to add Vincent's email address. So Vincent, maybe I'm just doing anything, right? Vincent O at intechlogic.com, right? Then Vincent's phone number is 123 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, right? Is it correct? Okay, I'm just adding anything, just like anything, right? That is a contact of Vincent, right? So you do the same for the next one, CP2. You go back to the next 800 question, right? This is CP1. The next one is CP2, right? CP2, there is a control procedure that's whoever is going to respond to the question has to follow. You copy that control procedure, Control C, or right click and copy. Come to your folder. Then the next one, that is CP2, contingency plan. Then paste it in the formula, right? And hit enter. See, when you hit enter, I think the other one, because I had posted the other one, that's why I couldn't fit. So when you hit enter, everything comes up. So you're able to see all that is there, right? And it could be that, like I said, most of the times, most of the controls are owned by one person. So it could be the same Vincent that is going to what? Respond to it. So you can pull the name down here, the contacts and the email, everything is there. Let's go to the next one. CP21. CP21. Now let's look at CP21. And remember, CP21 is a control enhancement. We talk about, if you remember, initially I showed the box, blue box. I said this is the control ID, control name, the procedure, discussion. Then there's a control enhancement, right? CP21, like that is a control enhancement, something to support that main control, right? In this case, the control enhancement is just only this one. always remember, don't add a discussion to it. It's only the statement under the control. So it's this one that is coordinate contingency plan development with organizational element responsible for related plans. So you copy that one, then you put it in here. You select the box first, then you put it in the formula. Then you hit enter. It comes in there. See, then you go to the next one, CP23. Let's go and search for CP23. So CP21. The next one is, remember, it's not CP22. It is CP23. So you jump the 22 and go to CP23. Then you copy that. You paste it in the formula. Hit enter. The next one is CP28. So when you come here, good. We see CP24, CP25, CP26, 7, and 8. We go all the way to 8. We select 8. Then what do? You paste it over here, hit enter, right? So you can see that we have selected the controls now, right? The controls are being selected. And like I said, most of the times it's one person who is in charge. So we can drag the name, right, all the way down to cover. So it means that it's Vincent that is going to respond to all these questions, right? So when this is done, right, you share this document with Vincent to respond to these questions, or if you have time, you can have a meeting with Vincent and say, Vincent, per NIST recommendations, these are the questions, the control procedure. Do you have it in place? If you have it in place, what document can I refer to? Right? That tells me that you are doing it. So Vincent will say, based on this requirement, right, the organization must develop, document, disseminate, put a person there, right? They put their name there. Sometimes most of these documents, they just leave the place blank as it is. They don't put any person's name there, right? So there should be a contingency planning policy. The policy must address purpose, scope, roles, responsibilities, and management commitment, coordination among organizational entities, and compliance. So per this statement, right, are you sure your policy and procedure, contingency policy and procedure meeting this requirement? Then Vincent will say, yes, all these requirements are in place, right? When you interview the person say, yes, all these requirements are in place. Okay, so where can I locate this particular one? Then Vincent will say, okay, based on organization policy, let's say the policies are named to maybe IT policy, let's say IT PO, right? Maybe IT PO IT PO 003, right? And what I've noticed is that some companies, they try to use the numbers, the family, control family, and the number that falls within the control family. So let me see if CP falls. Let's go back to the slide that I showed earlier on. I'm going back to the slide. This one, very good. I mean, it may not be like that, but like some companies, what I've seen is that's what they use. So like if AC is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so CP falls within 6, right? They can name it. I mean, I saw it there. Some place has to. That is how they name their policies, but it's not always like that. It's not always like, I just saw something like that, but it's not always like that. So they say that, okay, based on policy, IT policy 006, right? All these requirements or the procedure is found within the policy. That's it. So Vincent is done. So they have to do the same thing for the next one. Develop contingency plan, right, for the system that identifies mission, business functions, blah, 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 recovery objectives, restoration, addresses role and responsibilities, maintaining essential, right? Send Vincent to say, yes, this requirement is in place, right? I mean, it's not the same statement they are going to say, but they will give you a statement that tells you that, yes, they do have it in place, right? So where can I find this? And they tell you that we can find it within the Intech Logic, right? Contingency plan, right? So the company has a document called Intech Logic Contingency Plan. That's it. That is where you can find this statement, right? Then you go to the next one, coordinate with related plans, organization contingency plan, development with organization elements responsible for related plans. The person may say the same statement, right? And most of the times they will tell you everything is in place, right? Unless maybe somebody says, no, we don't have this in place. But I'm assuming this one, they are saying everything is in place. And they say, okay, for related, this, anything about related, you can find it within the contingency plan document, contingency plan itself, right? Then the same thing, resume mission and business function, plan for the resumption of the system name, function, blah, 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 right? The next one, identify critical assets, right? And the person will say, oh, all this information that you're looking for can be found within the contingency plan document, right? So you can just pull it down here just to give people, just for you to know that, okay, if you are referring to identifying critical assets, then you can get that information from contingency plan. That's it. So that is a test plan, and it has to be done for all the controls from AC1, right? From AC1 to the SR. And then the last SR is SR12 to SR12. So all the controls, depending on, and it all depends on the categorization too as well, right? If you had medium, means that you are doing it for all the medium controls that have been selected. If you had high, means that you are doing it for all the high. So for this class, that assignment that we did, right, it was on medium. But look, we just did it for just the small part. So this tells you that you don't use one day to do this. It takes time. It takes time, because if you make a mistake, it can affect everything. So you take your time. That's one thing about the federal environment. They don't give you assignment and say, hey, tomorrow bring the result. No, it's not like that. They know what goes into it. Right. Good. So that is the test plan for you. Any questions about test plan? Yes, Nana.
Mr. Alex, what if they
Yes,
don't have it in there? What do you do next?
Good. So that will take us to another level. Right. So test plans, they are saying that they have it. Right. So if they don't have it, then SCNE is going to show it. So we'll get there. Thank you. I like the passion to know. Right. More. That's nice. Any more?
Yeah, just a similar question. If they have it, do you do something else?
If they have it, yes, we'll still show
Okay.
from
Okay.
SCNE. Will let us know what to do next.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. And one thing is that it's not that security we are trying to find faults. right? We are always trying to look for our weaknesses so that nobody will take advantage of us, right? So if they don't have it, then okay, then what should we do next to make sure that nobody takes advantage of us? Good, good. So if there are no more questions, let's look at the next one, right? Security tests and evaluation, ST&E. So it is the process of conducting assessment and evaluating validation documents in order to determine whether the controls are adequately implemented. The following terms are used to show a control evaluation status: pass or failed, satisfactory or not satisfactory, inherent, not applicable, or other, right? In most cases, the test plan with testing results is termed as security test and evaluation report, right? So sometimes they put it together, test plan with the result, the testing results becomes ST&E report. So now let's see how the ST&E is done, right? So we have done the test plan, right? They provided us we did a test plan. They provided us the response. We talked to the owner, the control owner. It provided us some documentation. So the ST&E is another level. Now we are going to review the documentation to verify whether what he provided us is accurate, is really meeting those requirements. Yes, John.
Yeah, Alex. I believe the spreadsheet was kind of originally made by you just for the purposes of the training, right? In the real world, where like you get a job, are you supposed to build your own spreadsheet, or somebody can go off your spreadsheet, developing the control, the test plan, and everything?
The templates are there.
Okay.
They have their templates.
Oh, okay.
They have their template, yeah. But the real world, you will see that the controls are there, the test plan, the control name, the procedure, that maybe the responses will be empty, the contacts will there. But the question is, you ask yourself, how did they get this control? That is why I developed this for us to learn. So when we get there, we see their control. You see, oh, okay, I know where it is coming from. I don't need to be thinking, how did they get there? You get yourself confused. That is why I decided to develop this one for the purpose of the training, so that when you go there, you see the control, you look at it, you laugh, you know what to do next. Nobody will even ask you, right? I don't know, I was telling some people when I used to work with VA in Austin, and because I knew this very well, right, I mastered it. And along the way, they liked me so much that when I got offer in Houston and I was living those days, remote working wasn't common. And I told them, my wife is pregnant, I need to be in Houston, blah, blah, blah. They said, okay, why not? We'll give you remote, because they like me so much. Because like at a point in time, they were asking me to shadow a lot of people. I started with like 8 applications. When I was leaving, I was having like 18 applications, right? And I was being added to the training team. If somebody finished and the person has to start, they ask the person to come and shadow me. Somebody that have been there like 2 months. Perhaps I had a lot of people that were ahead of me, but it is because of all these things. So when they put a template in front of me, I know everything, what to do, who to go, where to go, ask questions, right? Good. So we are learning it in the hard way, so that when we go there and they throw the template at us, you just look at it and laugh, because you know what you're doing. Good. So let's continue. Thank you, John, for the question. So so here we are saying that the ST&E, right, plus the test plan becomes a report. So it means that they are all the same. But the only difference is that the ST&E pass, fail, or not applicable. Satisfactory, not satisfactory, or not applicable. That is the only thing. So what do you do when you are working on STNE? Is the same thing that you worked over here from the test plan. You copy the whole thing that you have done with the evidence, right? This is what we have done. You copy, Control C, move it forward, and paste them here. This one, you can paste everything in the cell because it will fit. That's a huge one. It will fit, right? So now we are going to evaluate the responses they provided and the document that they've given us to see whether they are in agreement with the procedure. Sometimes they say, oh, it is there, everything is in place, but if there are some omissions, small omissions, right? So this is where it takes time. You need to take your time and read the document, right? Don't say that you just brush through. Take your time, read the document to make you more knowledgeable. It's to make you understand the process into details. So, right, you take a policy and you read through and you see that, oh, everything, it has covered the scope, it covers the objective, management has approved, everything is good. So in this case, if everything is good, means they have what? Pass, right? Pass does not mean that, what should I say? Or let me say, fail does not mean that the document is not good at all. No, it's not like that. All it means that there may be some gaps that they need to add to that document to make it complete, right? So let's say first one, everything is okay. Then they have contingency plan, right? They have developed contingency plan. You see that the contingency plan is there. Everything is okay too. You can pass them. That is where evaluation is coming. You are evaluating their documentation based on the control procedure. Coordinate with related plans. But in the contingency plan, they said, no, there's a section that talks about how we relate with, how do you call it? The second part is what? He said, coordinate contingency plan with organizational element responsible for related plans. But when you read through, you notice that there's no point that talks about coordination, right? There's nothing that talks about, okay, if there is a contingency, we are going to work with let's say, the physical security personnel. That is a coordination, right? Contingency is about emergency, right? But they've forgotten that they have to work with the physical security personnel. Nothing talks about that, right? So that is a gap. So in this case, you say, oh, this is failed because they don't have any kind of statement that talks about how they are going to coordinate with other business units. All that they said, there's a plan that we follow, but they hasn't really explained how they're going to do the coordination. Good. Then there's a resume business function, right? It said plan for resumption of the system name, mission, and business function within defined time contingent. So maybe you see that, oh, they haven't really stated that if there's a contingency within maybe 2 hours, we should be able to resume or something like that. They haven't really given some time specification. That is a gap, right? So you can say that, oh, there's this gap over there. So they need to make sure that they add it to their document, contingency plan document, right? Then identify critical assets. Oh, okay, they have identified all those critical assets, so everything is good. Pass. That's it. You have done your STNE. You have evaluated the document based on the control procedure, and it takes time. Like I said, it takes time, right? And the good thing is that those people who are subject matter experts in these areas, they know what to do. So most of the time, you end up getting everything well done and well developed. So you don't have to struggle to make sure that there are gaps. But we are learning it the hard way so that when we get on the job and we are facing it, we'll know how to approach it. Good. So that becomes the ST&E, right? Test plan and evaluation, right? Security test plan and evaluation. That is it. So the next one is the SAR. Any questions on the test plan and ST&E? Okay, so the next, I know it's very straightforward. The next one is the SAR, Security Assessment Report. So Security Assessment Report, also termed the Final Risk Assessment Report. So when you see a Final Risk Assessment Report, it's the same as the Security Assessment Report, right? It documents all the findings and is more thorough than the initial risk assessment report. The SAR has findings and recommendations. There is no pass control. No pass controls are included. Somebody asked me, so what about if everything is okay, right? If everything is answered and everything is okay, you don't add pass controls in there. If the control is good, it means it's good. If it fails, then that is where you include it in the SAR. Note, ST&E has both pass and failed controls, but no recommendation. So here we can see that the ST&E, we don't do any recommendation. All that we are saying is that, oh, the control met all the requirements, so it passed, right? No, the control did not meet all the requirements, it fails. We don't do any kind of recommendations, right? So just a note for you to know. So both SAR and ST&E are product of security assessment, right? Or security testing. When you see security assessment, it's the same as security testing. So now let's look at how the SAR is done, right? How the SAR is done. Let's look at how the SAR is done. Good. So the SAR also has the same model, the control, right? The control ID. In this side first. The control ID, the control name, the procedure, the resources, point of contact, evidence, and this time it is recommendations, right? And remember, we said that the SAR has findings and recommendation. No pass control are included. So in this case, all that we're going to do is that we go to our ST&E and look for the controls that failed. Right, so the controls that failed are the CP1 and CP21 and CP23. These are the controls that failed. So you just copy, right? Doing Control C, copy. Then I'll bring them to SAR. Remember, I didn't add a pass or failed, right? It's only the failed one that I copied. Then you paste them here, right? So here I have it. I didn't add I think I missed the evidence. Yeah, I missed the evidence. So the evidence is this one. Let me just copy and come and add it to it. So you add the evidence here. Let me drag it down, the same document. Good. So we are saying that the SAR contains recommendations. So now you are going to recommend why you feel that it is inadequate, why it failed, right? So here you can say that outline what? What is it? Related plans. Outline maybe how maybe related plans are coordinated. Just use the same whatever you see within the findings to generate a recommendation, right? And mind you, yours is not going to be the final. You are just making a recommendation based on what you saw, right? The another one is resume business functions, right? And what we notice is that they do not give the number of hours that the system functions will be resuming, right? So maybe you say state, you can put it the states, the hours or the time that business functions will or should resume. Should resume. That's it. You're done with your SAR. So it is only the failed one that we carry to what? To SAR.
Report.
That is it. That is all that people are doing and getting 6 figures in the federal environment. Right? And mind you, I'm even telling you that what we're doing is the hard way. Right? But if you are using the GRC2, everything is so smooth and easy. People are doing this job and getting 6 figures. Right? Nothing. Any questions so far? So we just doing the SAR practical session, yeah. Any questions? Yes, Bernard.
So with this one, you say we are doing for the ones that failed, right? But it seems like on the template, it says like yes. You say so. If it's yes, that means everything was in place. So why do we do for the yes? Because I don't think
exactly.
Uh-huh.
So, there's this statement that says in African proverbs that the one who is making the path does not know that his back is crooked, right? They have been working with it all the time. So sometimes just little oversight that has not even come to their attention that this has to be there. So you are serving as like a second eye. Okay. So if you are able to find something, that is where you draw their attention. So that's why I said, if we say it is failed, does not mean that it's no good. It's not like that, but just that there is an omission somewhere that you are drawing the attention that, hey, the controls procedure requires that you do A, B, C, D, but I noticed that you missed this one out. That becomes your recommendation, right? Is it okay?
Yes.
Good. Any more questions? So, okay, Vincent.
Yeah, I was to add, the recommendation you can make must you take it from the template, from the guide you found in the publication, or can you make some recommendation from your own ideas?
Okay, that's a good one. So I would encourage you to desist from your own ideas, right? And follow the recommendation over here. Either you are using maybe, and sometimes, right, it is not only the control, but sometimes it also depends on the scan, the vulnerability scan that Fenton talked about, that they scan. There may be some findings, right? You communicate with them, they said it is done. But you look at an industrial accepted way of fixing them, right, to make that recommendation, right? So always, when you are making a recommendation, make sure that you have something that if they come back and they ask you, so upon which are you standing on to make this recommendation? You can say that, oh, okay, per this industrial standard or per this control requirement. That is why I'm making that recommendation.
Okay.
Right. So you can make a recommendation based on your own idea or something, but make sure you have backing. It's not like something somebody has written somewhere, but it should be something that is well acceptable and well accepted and is from an authentic source.
All right. Thank you.
Good. Good. But most of the times, for all the document that I've seen, the recommendations comes from the procedure. I mean, what they said they should be doing and they are not doing. Maybe there are some small observation that is they're supposed to do and they messed that one out. So just ask them to correct it. And we'll then, coming Wednesday, there's a place called POEM. Even all these findings that you identify, you say fail, pass, fail, bad, whatever it is, it's not a final. System owners are going to go through and say, oh, okay, yeah, this is a legitimate finding. Let's accept it. Oh, no, there's another control that we think is taking care of it. Just remove this, right? So when everything is accepted, then you move on to the next one. That is the POEM. So we'll talk about that next week. That is going to be too much for today, right? Good. So let's summarize that for today. We are saying that the following artifacts are generated in this phase by the security analyst, right? This is the test plan, right? Controls that need to be tested, the method of testing, testing procedures, evidence to validate the controls. Then the security test plan and evaluation, right? That is the report. So has both pass and fail controls, but no recommendations. Then the SAR. SAR has the findings and recommendations, but no pass controls are included. So if the controls are good, they are good. That is all that we are looking for. But the ones that are not good, but they need to work on, they need to improve upon, those are the ones that we carry them along in the SAR, right? So both SAR and SCNE are product of security assessment, right? So method of testing, we talked about examination, interviewing, then testing. And there are some publications that we use to do this, this control testing or control assessment. So that is all that I want you to pick up for today, right? But there's an assignment, right? There's an assignment that I want you to do. Let's go back to our document. So those of you who missed out, I know some of you were doing, some of you went to continue what we did in a class practice, but this natural for this assignment that I wanted you to use the template, right? What I want you to do, right, as an assignment to practice, to be able to know how to develop a test plan, SCNE and SAR. I want you to practice this. We have done the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? We've done the first, is it 5? The first 5, right? I want you to continue from CP5, CP3, all the way to CP73, right? So I'll share this with you. I'll share this with you as what we have done in the class. So I don't know whether I should color code it. If I color code it, some of you may have challenges. Okay, let me just do some small color coding here, right? For you as an assignment, what you're going to do. Oh, didn't select. CP3 to CP73. So let me do some small color coding here. Okay, so that is the assignment. What happened? That is for your assignment today. Okay, selected now. So please, that is what you're going to do, right? So you continue from, just continue down here. And I know that we did it from CP1 to CP28. So yours should continue from here, right? You can choose any name over here. You can choose any email address and any number. That is just a point of contact. Then respond to it like the way I've responded. Don't use the same thing. Just be creative, right? Then come out with a document that that type of evidence can be obtained from. So the first one is contingency training, right? So what type of document do you think to give you information about training, right? So you think about it just on your own, right? Then yes, you do that contingency test plan, coordinates plan, a lot of things. So just do them over here. And when you are done with the test plan, go ahead and do your STNE. So the STNE, remember, you carry everything here. You just add the pass and fill. Everything is here already. Then deliberately, I think people get problem over here in the past classes. They say, how can I fill it? I don't know. There's any. I know, but just try deliberately fill some of them, right? Deliberately fill some of them, right? That, okay, when you check the control that the document that they provided, it is not as the control requirement is saying. So pass some of them and fill some of them. So the one that fails, you carry them to SAR, then you make a recommendation. What do you think they should do to get it right? Is the assignment clear?
Yes, sir.
So we are continuing what we did. Yeah, we are just continuing what you did. So what you did, right, just work on that. But I'll share this with you, right? So you may choose to continue with what I have done, or you may choose to continue with what you have done. But remember, you are doing from CP3 to CP73, right? And you can send it to my personal email. I'll give you feedback as quickly as possible, or you can send it to the Intech Logic and I'll respond to it, right? Any more questions before we end for today?
I'm definitely going to rewatch the video, but I'm not too clear on what you want us to do when you said to fail it on purpose.
You said you're not clear on which one?
When you said to make sure some of them fail.
Oh yes, it's just a deliberate. So for this one, for this one, the STNE that I did, okay, I said I failed the CP21 and CP23, right? And they provided this document, but I was saying that I feel it's just a deliberate, not that I've reviewed. I mean, we are all doing this, haven't reviewed any document, right? But in your real world, you go through the document, right? Then when you go through the documents and check whether they are coordinating, there's a statement that talk about coordinated activity. So here I'm assuming that when I read this document, there is no statement that talks about how coordinated related plans are coordinated. Nothing was stated. That is why I said, oh, okay, per what the procedure is saying, they don't have it. That is why I say, okay, let me fill them, so that I will recommend that they include that statement, right, in the document that they provided. That's it. So it's just deliberately, right, failing some of them and making a recommendation what they need to do to fix it. I don't know whether you get it now, Shadon.
I understand.
Okay, but along the way, if you're having any challenge, please give me a call. Please give me a call, and I'm more than happy to help you clarify things, right? Sometimes when we do one-on-one talk, it helps. Good. So that is it for today. Thank you so much. And I'm going to share this document with you for today. Okay, Bill, your hand is up.
Sir, so in the case of recommendation, like Mr. Vincent was asking if we can go outside the context to put our words in, and you said no, you know, work with
Oh,
with
you are
what we.
breaking. You are breaking.
So in the place of recommendation, where Mr. Vincent was asking if we could put our own words, and you said no. So basically, what we're trying to do when we are doing that recommendation is that are we retrospecting like what should have been done better?
Exactly, based on what the procedure is asking them to do.
Okay.
And like I said, sometimes everything is good, but there may be some small omission that you are drawing their attention to it that they should correct it. So it's not like you're going to give a recommendation for a new thing that they have to do. No. It is based on what the procedure is saying and what their document is also saying that it is doing. Meanwhile, there is some small gap that it is not really meeting that procedure. So that is where you draw their attention. So always remember that when it is failed, that doesn't mean that they are not doing it, but you are just, there's an omission that you want them to address, and that's it. Right. So you don't need to bother yourself going to do research and coming. No, you don't need to do that. But at the end of it, the system owner who owns the system is also going to look at it and say that, oh, okay, this is good. No, I think it's okay. We can just let it go.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you.
Fenton.
Yes. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just wanted to add a little bit of my idea about everything you've said. I worked with somebody in the company I used to work with, and they have a job, an excellent job. And when I talked with the particular lady, she said to me, everything I learned, you need to call Alex. She used to work directly with me. I used to help her in different areas in what she did, and she got a job, and she's doing excellent in her job. So when she called me and said, when I told her, you know what, I'm moving on, I need this and that, and she said, call Alex. She is very knowledgeable in what she's doing there, in the area she is with the federal government. And she said to me, Mr. Fenton, I know you know a lot, blah, 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 but call Alex. She said, what I learned has helped me. And every time I need help, when I reach out to Alex, he helps me, and I have learned a lot. And I just wanted to add that in because she used to call me all the time with help, all the time, because I was in a network group, and she used to, and now I'm learning from her. It's not because I have all this skills and knowledge, but because she is learning, and I'm learning from her. And by the way, she's the one that recommended me to Alex. I just wanted to say that.
Okay. Thank you, Fenton. And yeah, Fenton is right. Yeah, that lady is one of my ladies. I mean, she finished a long time ago and she worked with Fenton. I think she's moved on to another company. And one interesting thing about this class is that, I mean, almost everybody, all my class, I mean, all my students, wherever they go, they excel. If you follow the processes that I'm teaching you very well. I've had a student, he joined a company within 3 days, the manager texts him and said, you have done 3 days. He said, you've done more than somebody who has been here for the past 3 years. Just 3 days. Even it's like 3 days is orientation, right? But within the orientation period, the guy, what he's done, I mean, what he did, the manager was, and he's not the only one, a lot of recommendations. So you are learning the hard way. That's what I should say, right? We are learning the hard way. So when you get on the job and they put the thing in front of you, you just sit behind and say, really? Is that all that I'm doing? I have one student, I call him Michael Sam. He's in New York. He started work like, say, you call me, say, Alex, I'm not doing anything. These people are paying me this plenty money. Aren't you sure they're going to let me go? I said, why? Why are they going to let you go? He said, no, I'm not doing anything. And they're paying me $120,000. And everything, small thing that I do for them, they are so happy. I say, yes, that is the nature of the work that we're doing, right? And they appreciate the work that he's doing. That guy now, they made him a director. He changed a whole lot of things, and to the point that now they left all security in his hands. He calls me all the time to say thank you. He was doing this, and he was almost at the final year to finish, but he said no, he's not going to practice anymore, right? And he's into cybersecurity now. So please, just take your time, follow the process. Most important thing is understanding the concept and the process, especially if you notice, I keep on hammering on, when you get to a phase, I keep on hammering on deliverables, what needs to be generated at each point in time. So if you know the deliverables and you know what must be generated, and that's it. And look at the summaries. I try to summarize them at the end of it. So if you look at that, I mean, try to recollect, what should I do? What am I expecting from this side? What am I looking for? That is all that you need, right? That is all that you need. I'm trying to bring one of my students who referred a couple of people here to come and share her experience just with you. I'll try and see if I can bring her on Wednesday about what she did to get a job that she's doing in the federal environment, right? She just went through the deliverables. Introduction, then the guy said, look, you know everything that I'm looking for. One interview and she just got a job. So let us work together, and I'm very, very hopeful that as you work with me, or you work with me, there's going to be a massive change, and we're going to hear massive stories. Thank you so much. And one thing that thank you. One thing I also want to come again, Sheldon.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted you to just explain a little bit when you said you told her to just use the deliverables. So, like, what did she do? Did she like go back and study everything? Like, how did she use the deliverables to get the job?
Okay. So let me tell a little bit story about this young lady. She finished my class a year, and she wasn't actually, I mean, it was a year, she was not actually looking for a job. So as part of you being part of my class, I do offer what I call CyberSec Talk. Along the way, I bring all the students that I've taught. Then I teach them something, like something new. So there was this issue about vendor risk. I brought it in, and she joined. Then she like, her passion aroused, and said, you remembered I told them that they should, when they are doing federal environment interview, they should use the deliverables. The deliverables are when you take categorization. First deliverable, how do you do? We have 6 of them. You should know them. Categorization, that is the first one. Initial risk assessment, PTA, PIA, SON, evaluation. That is the first deliverable. When it comes to second phase, baseline, final baseline. When it comes to the third phase, we have what? We have the SSP, configuration management, contingency plan test. Those are the deliverables. You come to the assessment phase or the testing phase. We have the test plan, SCNE, and what? SAR. Those are the deliverables, right? Because the person that is interviewing you, you are going to work as a security analyst that is going to present an application to authorize official for full authorization, right? And that's what we're going to learn next week, right? How to prepare an authorization package and submit. So if you don't know deliverables, what it needs to be, a document that needs to be generated at each phases, then what are you going to do? So you knowing the deliverables or the artifacts that is being generated at each phase of the risk management program or framework, that is the most important thing. So they know that, okay, when I take Sheldon, Sheldon knows all that needs to be generated within, how do you call it, categorization. Than somebody who just come and say, yes, I know, yes, I know, yes, I know. But Sheldon is able to go further and tell them that, look, within categorization, this is how I generate my deliverables, right? Like what we walked through. Then you mention those 6 deliverables. You get a job. No doubt about it. I'm telling you, like,
just
I
like
have a
a
lady.
it's just like a verbal action in the interview. You're just like spitting off the top couple things you know in each field.
I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm connected to the Bluetooth. Can you hear me? I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right. So pretty much it was just like a verbal action in her interview. It was just,
exactly.
For example, if they asked about categorization, she knew from what you learned in the class what to say based on that.
Exactly. Just being able to tell them what is done at each of the stages. I was talking about a lady who finished my class. Let's say we finished the whole day. The last day was Saturday. Then coming Friday, she had 2 offers. One of her interviews, they asked her and she walked them through the process. And one man said, obviously, you know more than all of us sitting behind interviewing you. So there's no way that we can give you the offer. Right. So please, I'll give you the tips and I'll give you the guidance. All that I need you to do is to put in your effort to learn, right? At the end of the day, if you don't get anything, but you're able to get those deliverables, that is good enough. The remaining ones will come as you work along. Good. So I was going to say that, yeah, so if it is time for you to start working towards your second payment, if you haven't, and I think I was supposed to get in touch with a couple of you to arrange for the, your payment, but I haven't done that. Last week and this week has been very, very busy for me. So please, let's start working towards that, right? And I don't want to get to a stage that I'll take people off my class, right? But trust me, the last class, I started doing that, right? Some people, I started taking them off because I noticed they were not ready for that. So if you don't make a move, I will calculate what the payment has reached and I will take you off. I don't like chasing people for money, but I want you to do your part once I do my part, right? And for the assignment, I'll share this with you. And please, if you're working and you get to a point that you don't understand what to do the next step, call me. Don't wait. Okay, call me. Make the effort, call me, and I'm ready to help you. Thank you so much, and I will see you on Wednesday. The assignment is due by Tuesday night, right? Tuesday night, let's say 10 p.m. Central Time. So Tuesday night, anytime if you finish today, send it to me. Anytime you finish, send it to me, and I'll respond to you and give you my feedback. Thank you so much, and have a good afternoon. And a good morning.
Thank
Good
you.
morning to some of us too.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Let me stop the recording.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
brother.
you.
Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
guys. Have a good weekend.
Yeah.
Thank
Stay
you.
blessed.
Same
Thank
to you.
Stay blessed.
Thank you.